Yeah, I think I'm on. Ashe, 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 I say. Yes, it is I, the Mystic Philosopher. And thanks for tuning in to this post. Today I will be sharing with you another of my thought-provoking perspectives. And this time I will be speaking specifically on two things. Number one, I will be speaking on the concept and reality of that which is commonly called the New World Order. And number two, I will be speaking on the concept and reality of that which is also commonly called the One World Government. And no doubt some of you might be asking the question, hey, Mystic, why not just simply say that you will be speaking on the New World Order and the One World Government all in one breath, instead of making it complicated by saying that you will be speaking on the concept and reality of that which is commonly called the New World Order and the concept and reality of that which is commonly called the One World Government. And that is a very fair and reasonable question to ask. And it also deserves a very fair, reasonable, and explanatory answer. And my answer is that from the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, a concept is potentially a very tricky or a very deceptive idea, if not a very tricky and very deceptive ideology that is conceived and propagated from a very tricky and deceptive mind, or from some very tricky and deceptive minds. And the reality of that which is called the New World Order and the One World Government is simply that, a concept, meaning that the New World Order and the One World Government is a very tricky and a very deceptive ideology that was conceived in and propagated from a tricky and deceptive mind, or if you prefer, from some very tricky and very deceptive minds. And my two main objectives in this talk are as follows. One is to identify and show who and what that mind is and who and what those minds are. And two is to show and hopefully and logically prove to you all, my listeners, that neither that which is called the New World Order or that which is called the One World Government is new. And my third objective is to identify, show, called out by names, and called out by names, the real God, the real mighty one, if you will, the real Lord and Master, the entity and entities, the people, the creatures and the humankind, or to be even more precise, the kind of human that are, from my perspective, the real rulers, the real leaders, the governors and controllers on this our planet and our Mother Earth. And last but not by no means the least, my objectives, as always, and as some of you, my listeners that have listened to some, if not all, of my talks, my presentations, my song, my semi-dub poetry, etc., as you already know, are to offer another perspective, another angle of observation. And especially, it's to provoke you, my melanin people, and all my listeners to think deeply on these topics and to think outside of that which is often referred to as the box. To think outside the box. Now, as it is customary for me to do, please let me again remind you. Let me again remind you, all my listeners, and especially those of you that are my harshest critiques. Please let me remind you of the fact that these are not my words or my language, nor is it the words and language of my most honorable African ancestors. This is the English / the British people's language. And as most of you may know by now, that I am not afraid, nor am I ashamed to admit that I really don't know the language or speak the language that well, let alone know it or speak it like the English or the British. For example, some of the words in the language, even though I try my very best, but I still have great difficulty pronouncing them, while in my most sincere attempt at mimicking and imitating the real owners. And here again, the spirit of my most honorable ancestors, my most honorable African ancestors, are always reminding me that I am not a Caucasoid or an Englishman. And no doubt some of you might be asking the question, why do I sometimes consciously and unconsciously try to mimic or imitate the English people? The truth be told, it is because from my own practical experiences, I have found that some of you, my own melaninated people, aka my own fellow Africans, Jamaicans, West Indians, my own people, and especially the ones among us that are trained, educated, and certified by the system, I have found that they react differently towards me, and by even being less judgmental of me. Some have even showed me respect, and to some degree, occasionally, some have treated me more like I am their equal. The more I sound like the oppressors. Nor do I know the mindset of the owners or the mindset of the people of the language that well. I am still learning. I am still trying to figure them out. I'm still trying to figure things out. And the closest that I think that I may ever get to learning, knowing, and understanding the language, along with the mindset of its owners, is by my frequent use of their dictionaries, the English dictionaries. Consequently, in my genuine attempt at effectively communicating my thoughts while using this language, which by now you should also know is my ancestors, slave traders and slave masters' language. Yes, the barbaric invaders, conquerors, oppressors, aggressors, colonizers, and exploiters, you name them. And by extension, their heirs and successors' language. It is their language. I constantly use their English dictionaries in order to know the meanings and the definitions of their every word and almost every word that I use to express and communicate my complete thoughts. And I'm always reminded of the fact that the secrets of a people are hidden in their language. The secrets of a people are hidden in their language. But I will have much more to say on this fact at another time. Now, the New World Order. First and foremost is the word world. I am very much aware of the fact that when some of you, my own people, especially those of you that are wrapped up and tied up within the system's religious community and are heavily influenced by its sanctioned belief system or systems, whenever you hear the word world, you consciously and unconsciously think of the word world means the entire universe, or that the word world means the entire universe, or that the word world is referring to the entire universe. I'm aware of that fact. Example, the world meaning the heavens and the earth and all that is within it and without. However, the word world, according to the English language, by meaning and definition, and also for the purpose of this talk, is, and I quote, the earth, together with all of its countries, peoples, and natural features, unquote. So now we understand the meaning and definition of the word world and how it is used, and especially how it will be used and how it is used in this talk. Second, what is the meaning and definition of the word order? We're talking about the new or the world order, the new world order. What is the definition of the word order? Well, one Google search dictionary gives at least two definitions for the word order. Number one, and I quote, the arrangement or disposition of people or things in relation to each other according to a particular sequence, pattern, or method. And two, an authoritative command, direction, or instruction, unquote. Now, three synonyms or three words that are similar in meanings and definition to the word order are, and I quote, directive, decree, and edict. Third, what is an order? As mentioned in that which is called the New World Order. So from just the two dictionary definitions, we can logically deduce and conclude that when we hear the word order, and especially when we hear the phrase world order or the world order, meaning the order of the world, aka the order of the earth, and how things are done on earth, and how things must be done on earth, we must know and understand that we are hearing something or someone that represents power. We must know and understand that we are hearing something or someone that is powerful or full of power. We must know and understand that we are hearing something or someone whose source is of force. And from my perspective, and especially as a highly melanin enriched natural native earthly human, aka an African, force, or the thing called force, is not good and has never been good to us. In fact, from my perspective, force, the force, all form of force and forces, and anything that which force is involved or to which force is applied, is of the source called evil, aka the evil. But more on that point at another time. When we hear the word order, we must know and understand that we are hearing something or someone that is our superior. Something or someone that is in great authority. Something or someone that can cause us much harm, much pain, much grief, much suffering, or even cause us death. When we hear the word order, we must know and understand that we are hearing something or someone that is not our equal. Something or someone that is subjected, that has subjected us to it, or to its, or to their will, and is subjugating us to its or to their will. And yes, when we hear the phrase or the words world order or the world order, we must know and understand that the power that is, that cannot be, has made a decree, or is making a decree, or if you prefer, the power that is, that cannot be, has given or is given an authoritative command, an authoritative direction, or an authoritative instruction. Thus, we must know and understand that the word order should not and must not be taken lightly. From the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, the thing that is called the New World Order, or the thing, the phenomenon, if you will, that is today being referred to by many as the New World Order, and as a New World Order, is not really new. It is not at all new. By new I mean that it has never been in existence before. To the awakened and enlightened ones, the mystics, the independent thinkers, the philosophers, the open-minded truth seekers, and the like, it, meaning the world order, has always been here. Or if you prefer it, the world order, has always been there. In other words, saying the new world order is like saying the new sun or the new moon. We know and understand of a fact that the sun and the moon is not new. Again, please let me hasten to point out that this, my reasoning and my perspective, are not necessarily for everyone. And I am not in the least expecting every one of you that might have the courage, the patience, the tolerance, and attention span to listen. No, I am not expecting that you all will get it, let alone agree that the so-called New World Order is not at all new, and that the world order that is in reality the evil system's world constitutional document has always been here, or it has always been there. For only those of us, the spiritually awakened and enlightened ones, the mystics, independent thinkers, philosophers, and truth seekers, the open-minded ones, we know, we can know, and we do know and understand that it, the world order, has always been here, or if you prefer, it has always been there. And the evidence has shown, and it has also been proven, that the original world order, and to be even more direct and precise, the system's original world order, aka the evil system's original world constitutional document, if you will, was founded, established, and administered by the same source, the same alien, unnatural, interplanetary invader and God, the deceiver of the peoples of the whole earth, that is commonly known as Satan the devil. He, Satan the devil, along with his same hand-picked, brain-picked, mind-picked, and race-picked group of people that are themselves known as his, Satan's elect. The world leaders, the elites, the globalists, the untouchables, the Luciferians, the Illuminatis, the 1% and the 1% of the 1%ers, the super rich, and his, Satan's agents of force and forces, among many other names and titles. However, to the rest of the world, to the people of the world that are mentally and spiritually blind, dumbed down and asleep, the spellbound victims of his, Satan's system and hypnotic trance, this fact is and will be meaningless to them, and they will immediately dismiss it as nonsense. However, those of us that are in the know, those of us that understand and are wise, know and understand that we cannot and that we should not expect the blind to see, know, or understand that which they are both spiritually, mentally, and physically blind to. They just can't. Thus, we must sympathize, and we must sympathize with them and empathize where and when necessary. To further emphasize this fact that the world order has always been here, or if you prefer, that it has always been there, please allow me to borrow a quote from my favorite book of the Adamic race, or from the Adamic race history and holy book called the Christian Holy Bible, or commonly called the Christian Holy Bible. For your information, and so that you do not in the least misconstrue or misinterpret what I am saying, please let me remind you that the Adamic race history and holy book, that is commonly called the Christian Holy Bible, is a collection of books. And the book that I am about to quote from, it is called Ecclesiastes. From my perspective, it is a highly philosophical book, or it contains some very highly philosophical writings that some earlier Bible scholars and others arbitrarily or zealously attributed to the ancient, or to an ancient Israelite king called King Solomon, aka the philosopher, and the wisest man at his time, or the wisest man at least in his time. However, for your information and for transparency, the record now shows that the philosophical writings that are in this book called Ecclesiastes were not written and could not have been written by the king himself, but that they were written by someone else around 250 BCE, before the Common Era, or some 750 years after the king would have long been dead. So now I quote from Ecclesiastes. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one could say, or one can say, look, this is something new? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time. Unquote. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 10. NIV, or the New International Version. I just quote from. So my people, come now, let us think and then reason together. If it is true that there is nothing new under the sun, or even to be more precise, since there is nothing new under the sun, how are some people, or why are some people all over the world, including some, if not all of Satan's, the devil's own elites, why are they talking about a new world order? And a new world order, or a world order, a new world order, and the new world order. Why are they talking about this? That, from my perspective, is either a lie, or at the very least, it is a contradiction. The fact that we can logically deduce, or the fact that we must logically deduce from this, is that the world order is an order that was conspired, founded, given and established by Satan and his devils. Yes, by Satan and his lieutenants, his elites, his agents of force and forces, and that it has been here and there from the day of their invasion, contamination, and domination of this our planet and Mother Earth. In fact, and from my perspective, he, Satan, and his host of devils came here with the order and his master plan to execute it. His master plan, his devious master plan to execute his order. Now, the question that some of you might be asking and would like to know and have answered is this: was there an order in existence upon the earth prior to Satan's malicious invasion? In other words, what order existed prior to Satan and his host of devils' invasion and their contamination and domination of this our planet? What order existed prior to his subjugation of us, the earth's melanin, organic, and pre-Adamic humans? We, the original, natural, native, earthly humans that are today commonly called Africans. What order existed prior to his implementation of his satanic order? Now, before I give you an answer, please let me remind you of the fact that Satan and his host of devils are forceful. They are full of force. And they are all about force. Their very existence and survival in the universe and on this earth and on this plane is in force and by force. Everything they do or say is in force, by force, and through force. Secondly, please let me also remind you that they, Satan and his host, Satan and his devils, are unnatural. They are also known as the unnatural ones, the artificial ones, the fake ones, etc. In other words, there is nothing natural about them. Thus, his Satan, or thus his satanic order, is also unnatural. In other words, the world order that all others are talking about is an unnatural order, an artificial order. So to answer the question, was there an order in existence upon the earth prior to Satan's malicious invasion And the answer from my perspective is a resounding yes. Prior to his invasion, contamination, domination, and the violent and forceful exile of our ancestral gods and mighty ones, our planet Earth and all her natural inhabitants were functioning naturally and in accordance with our Mother Nature's law and order, also known as the natural order. So from this you can see and know that prior to these devils coming here, it was Mother Nature's order, aka the natural law and order that was observed and practiced by our most honorable ancestors and our fellow natural earthlings. But that is also another topic by itself and to be discussed and talked about at another time. So since we now know that it is not a new world order, then we must also logically conclude that it is the same original foundational world order by the same original and foundational devils that is only being remolded, today being recycled, remold, recycled, remix, replay, reform, readjust, redone, you name it. And the evidence coupled with our activated common sense will show and tell us that it is the same original and foundational world order that was created and invented and created by the same original and foundational devils that is only being amended to facilitate and deal with its current devious and malevolent agenda. In other words, it is an amendment act. And what is Satan and his agents, his systems administrators, his agents of force and forces? What are their current agenda? Now I want you all to please listen very carefully to this my response, and to try your very best to understand, understand, and overstand what I am about to say. Because I am not aware of anyone that is saying what I am about to say, or what I'm saying, or the same way that I'm saying it, or how I'm saying it. So please listen very carefully. From my perspective, his Satan and his agents, his systems administrators, his agents of force and forces agenda is to publicly and globally reveal himself, itself, and themselves, and to fully and publicly activate his Satan's global authority. For your information, Satan and his agents will be publicly coming out of the closet, declaring himself, itself, and themselves to the whole world. And soon and very soon, everyone will know who and what Satan and his agents are. Secondly, Satan and his agents, his systems administrators, his agents of force and forces agenda is also to centralize everything and everyone, including all current subsystems of authority that are called independent countries, independent nations, and their so-called independent governments. It is to centralize them all into one central government, also known as one world government. Simply put, Satan and his agents, his systems administrators, his agents of force and forces agenda is to set up one central center, a uniform government. It's like a hen gathering its chickens under its wings. And just for the record, let me admit that some of this that I'm saying is common knowledge, now known and shared by many others. In fact, it even goes much deeper than that. From my perspective, the devil's ultimate agenda, Satan and his agents, his systems administrators, his agents of force and forces, ultimate agenda is to deceptively, forcefully, technologically, electronically, digitally, spiritually and otherwise capture our souls, capture our spirits and our minds. In other words, it is to capture the essence of who and what we are in order that they might have total ownership and complete control over our very spiritual existence. But that too is another topic for another time. Our activated common sense will affirm that if we are talking about a new world order, then we must accept that there was an old order or an old world order, or that there had to have been an old world order. In other words, new versus old. If or when you listen very carefully to most speakers today that are talking about the so-called New World Order, you would also see that they want us all to believe that the old world order was good, if not perfect. They want us all to believe that the good old things, the good old benefits, the good old privileges under the good old world order have now passed, or that they are now passing away. For example, they would want us all to somehow believe and accept that the good old days of being free, the good old days of justice, the good old days of equality, the good old days of human rights, the good old days of equal rights, the good old days of equal opportunity or equal opportunities, you name them, and that the good old days when everything was fair and just under the good old order have now passed, or have now passed away, or that they are now passing away and all things have now become new, fearful and evil, or that they are becoming new, fearful and evil. But if or when all things are honestly considered, the evidence will show and prove that this is not at all the case. The evidence will show and prove that the world order is still the same. The truth be told is that under the so-called good old world order, we were never truly free. We never had true freedom or true justice. We never had equality. We never had equal rights. We never had equal opportunities, etc. All we had was and still is an illusion of these things. And all that is happening is that they, meaning Satan and his agents of force and forces, are just tightening the screws on us and are putting us under much more heavy and heavier manners. Another fact that I would like to point out here is this. If and when you listen to most, if not all of these speakers, especially here online, that talk about and are talking about the so-called New World Order, and if you are paying close attention to them, you will notice that they are always using the word, or more correctly, the pronoun they. However, most of these speakers are never identifying who the they are, or who the they is that the speakers are talking about, or what is the source of the they that they are talking about. Example, you will hear statements, protest and complaints like like they are governing and controlling us. They are herding us and treating us like sheep and like other farm animals. They are taking away all our rights and freedoms. They are taking away our civil rights, our human rights, and all our civil liberties. Yes, you will hear statements, protest and complain like they are mentally, sexually, and physically abusing us. They have made us slaves and they are enslaving us. They are slaughtering us. They are killing us. They are murdering us. They are sacrificing us. They are dehumanizing us. They are torturing us. They are doing all manner of evil against us and upon us. You name it. And they are doing it to us. And from my perspective, those facts are not in dispute because it is the proven truth. But what most of these speakers, if not all of these speakers, have not done, and what they are not doing is this: they have not identified, called out, and they are not identifying and calling out by names, titles, and appellations who and what the they that they are talking about are. They have not identified and called out, and they are not identifying and calling out by names, titles, and appellation who and what the they that are in reality the real masters and masterminds that are the architect of this evil system that they are calling the New World Order. And two reasons that I can readily think of as to why these speakers are not naming and calling out is that, naming these people and calling them out, is that, number one, it is possible that they really do not know, let alone understand who and what they are. And two, it is because they are too much afraid of the they to identify and call them out. Sorry. And from my perspective, the they is and the they are the same alien and natural interplanetary invader and now God and ruler of the earth, commonly known as Satan the devil, along with his same hand-picked, brain-picked, mind-picked, and race-picked group of people known as his Satan's elect, his Satan's seeds, the elites, the globalists, the untouchables, the Luciferians, the Illuminatis, the 1% of the 1%ers, his agents of force and forces, among many other names and titles. Now, what is the one world government? For those of you that was paying close attention, you will have noticed that I indirectly answered this question earlier in this talk. However, I will expound upon it much more right here. But before I go any further, first please let me answer the question: what is the meaning of the word government? And from this answer, we may see and know for sure what is a government. The English word government, according to the English dictionary, is a compound word, meaning it is made up of two words, namely the word govern and the word ment. The word govern by meaning and definition is to control, and the word ment by meaning and definition is mind, or is of the mind, or of the thing called mind. Therefore, it does not take a rocket scientist, an astrophysicist, or a mathematical genius, etc., to figure out that government means mind control. And consequently, that all governments, including all current subsystems of the one authority that are themselves called independent countries, territories and nations, etc., are mind controllers. Government mean mind control, and governments are mind controllers. For your information, the one centralized world government that everyone, including myself, is talking about, and is quite fearful of, and rightfully so, because it's evil, and the administrators themselves are wicked, is already here. It too has always been here, meaning it is the same unseen, unpublicized, beyond the scene, covert satanic government, and the same satanic mind controllers that I have hereby described earlier in this talk. It is the earthly centralized government that I, the Mystic Philosopher, also described and called the religio-political pyramid twin system that Satan, the devil, and his host of devils, upon their deceptive and forceful invasion, contamination, confusion, and domination, have established upon the earth to dominate, subjugate, rule over, and to enslave all of us that are the earth's original, organic, highly melaninated, natural native peoples and earthlings. From my perspective, all the countries, kingdoms, queendoms, and nations of the organization known as the United Nations are members and subjects of the one unseen world government, of which Satan the devil is the Lord, also known as the Master and the God. And if I am indeed correct in my observations, analysis, and conclusion, this would therefore mean that we, the people of the earth, are all subjects, or all citizens of Satan and his centralized government, and have always been subjects and citizens of his Satan one world government. And just for your information, this fact is nothing new. It is not a new ideology or a new doctrine, and nor is it invented, or nor was it invented by I, the Mystic Philosopher. And let me offer you some proof that this fact is not new, and that it too has been known and has been here all along. According to the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, commonly called the Christian Holy Bible, in 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 4, the King James Version, it tells us in no uncertain language, in no uncertain terms or ambiguity, that the God of this world is Satan, the devil. And remember again, the word world here refers to the earth. The God of this earth is who? Satan, the devil, or the entity that is commonly called Satan, or that is known as who? Satan, the devil. Please note very carefully that it did not say that Satan, the devil, is the God of just one country, or that he is the God of just one individual nation. And it did not say that the God of a few countries, or that the God of a few nations is Satan the devil. But it tells us in very plain and simple language that the God of the whole world, or if you prefer the God of the whole earth, is Satan the devil. I'm not making this up. Again, please see 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 4. And the same Adamic Race History and Holy Book tells us that all the kingdoms of the world, meaning all the governments of the world, belongs to who? Him, Satan the devil. In other words, not only do they belong to him, Satan the devil, But we must also logically deduce that they all serve him. They are all servants of Satan, the devil. Now, if time permits, I can and I will be giving you much more reasons and practical examples that all honest and sincere earthly humans will affirm. But before I do, let me offer you some more evidence from the same Adamic race, history and holy book, that it is Satan the devil who is the boss that runs things here on this planet called Earth. According to the book called Luke, and I quote, the devil led him meaning Jesus, and just for your information, and in case you did not know, that according to the Christian faith, or the Christian belief system, he, Jesus, is supposedly the antithesis of Satan the devil, meaning he, Jesus Christ, is the direct opposite of Satan the devil. In other words, Jesus Christ is good and Satan the devil is evil, or Satan the devil is bad. Or Jesus Christ is the epitome of all that which is good, and Satan the devil is the epitome of all that which is evil. So again I quote, the devil led him, Jesus, up to the high place and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And he said to him, I will give you all their authority and splendor. It has been given to me, and I can give it to anyone I want to. If you worship me, it will all be yours. Unquote. That's Luke chapter 4 from verse 5 to 7. The New International Version. Please check it for yourself. I'm not making this thing up. I also want you to notice, as I further prove my point according to these scriptures, who really and truly run things right here. And if you're honestly thinking like I think I am, you too will notice that it is Satan the devil that was and that is in control. It was Satan the devil that led Jesus Christ up to the high place, and definitely not the other way around according to the book. It was Satan the devil that was the leader, and Jesus either obediently, reluctantly, or was forced to follow him, Satan the devil, up to the high place. Please read it for yourself. Luke 4, 5 to 7. The second thing that I would like you to take key note of in this scripture is that the high place being spoken of here does not necessarily mean on top of a high hill, on top of a high mountain, or on top of a high building, or even on top of a high tree. Because those of us who are not imbeciles and whose basic common sense is activated should know and will agree that there is no hill, mountain, building, or tree on the planet Earth that is high enough from which one can stand, look, or see all the countries of the world, let alone see all the kingdoms, also known as all the governments of the world, or governments of the earth. There is no mountain that high. Again I quote, the devil led him, Jesus, up to a high place and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. So from my perspective, for this to make logical and spiritual sense, the high place being mentioned here is a spiritual and metaphysical high. They were both spiritually and mystically high. And that is also why it happened in an instant. But much more on this point at another time. Moreover, this kind of reasoning that I am sharing, as I have said before, is not for everyone. So please don't blame yourself if you don't get it or you can't understand it. Now, just for clarity, and to again affirm that I am not the one making this up, let me answer the question that some of you might be rightfully thinking and asking. And that is, what is a kingdom? Or what is the meaning and definition of the word kingdom? And to answer that question, let me read a quote to you from the online Merriam dictionary. Quote, kingdom, a politically organized community or major territorial unit having a monarchical form of government headed by a king or a queen, unquote. So from this we can also logically deduce and conclude that just like how some countries, territories, states and islands, etc., that are subsidiaries of a more politically, economically and technologically greater and more powerful country, for example, the Commonwealth countries that are subjects of the major wealth countries, the developed countries and their authority, so too are those, or all those major and developed countries subjects, are subjected to Satan the devil and his central behind the scene government. So just in case some of you my melanin people, my own melanin people, just in case some of you did not know this proven truth, well, now you know that as Satan the devil and his host of devils who run things, yes sir. Now you know. Now you know the source, the cause, and the reason why wickedness, evil, injustice, inequality, immorality, murders, war, terror, war and terror and terror and war, fear and anxiety. Now you know why they abound. Now you know. Now you know that it is because a Satan the devil and his host of devils, along with his Satan's world government and his Satan's world government and his Satan's hand-picked, brain-picked, mind-picked, race-picked group of people, his government ministers and systems administrators, his globalists, his agents of force and forces that run things here on this, our planet and Mother Earth. Now you know. Now you know the source, the cause, and the reason why chaos and confusion, military aggression, the destruction of peoples and nations, the restless migration of humans from nation to nation, abomination, sexual perversion, deception, rape, physical abuse and murders of women and children, slavery, human trafficking, human organ harvesting, greed, the love of money and all forms of isms and schisms. You name them and now you know why they abound. Now you know that it is because a Satan the devil and his host of devils, along with his Satan's world order and his Satan's world government, his Satan's hand-picked, brain-picked, mind-picked and race-picked government ministers and systems administrators, his globalists and his agents of force and forces that run things here on this planet. And this our planet and our Mother Earth. Now you know. If you all can, or if you all will agree that the word government, as I have this dissected and explained for you earlier, means mind control, and that by logical deduction and practical manifestation, governments mean and governments are mind controllers, then now you know who and what is influencing and controlling the minds of our so-called leaders, be they spiritual, political, economical or otherwise. Now you know who and what is influencing and controlling the minds of the citizens, the minds of the youths, etc., etc. Now you know why some of our own African people have become so wicked so heartless, so ruthless, so merciless, so inhumane, and so vile. Now you know why our young men are senselessly killing and murdering each other. You name it. Now you know. It is because the influence and control of their minds are coming from the top, from the head down. Satan, the devil, is the head. He is he's at the top of the pyramid. Or more correctly, Satan, the devil, is above the top of the religio-political pyramid twin system, from whom inspiration of wickedness flows. He is thereby ruling and trickling down wickedness. Remember, if the head of the stream is dirty, the rest of the stream cannot be clean. So I call it trickle down wickedness or trickle down evil. In fact, it is written in the book of Proverbs 29 and verse 2. And I quote, "When righteousness are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn." Unquote. So here again you can see and know for yourself why there is so much grief, so much unnecessary deaths, so much unnatural disease and diseases and suffering upon the earth. And the peoples of the earth are so, you know why the people of the earth are so traumatized today. It is because of Satan and his world leaders are run things. And please, my own people, don't come telling me, please don't come telling I, the mystic philosopher, that Jesus or Yahushua is Lord and King of kings and Master of the earth. Please don't come telling me that a Jesus or Yahushua that run things here on the earth. Because if he is what some of you believe him to be, then the evidence coupled with our own activated common sense has proved and is proving otherwise. In fact, your own belief is going contrary to what he, Jesus, is alleged to have said. For according to the Adamic race history and holy book, Jesus said of himself, and I quote, Jesus said, I'm quoting from John 18 and verse 36, said, Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But no, my kingdom is from another place," unquote. So how much more evidence and common sense reasoning do you need for truth to make sense to you? My kingdom is not of this world, or if you prefer, my kingdom is not of this earth. And the way I see it, if Jesus wants to take over and dominate the earth, then he will have to overthrow Satan. He, Jesus, would have to duke it out and nuke it out with Satan the devil. And he, Jesus, know of a fact that Satan the devil and his armies of devils are no easy opponent. They are no easy pushovers. And they would not be some easy pushovers. But that is also another topic to be discussed and talked about at another time. Now the question that those of you that are thinking may no doubt be asking is this. Number one, what is the solution? And the answer is quite clear and self-evident. Get rid of Satan, his host of devils, his creatures, his people, his humankind, also known as his kind of human. Get rid of his globalist, his satanic world order, and all that belongs to him. Get rid of them all from off this, our planet and Mother Earth. The solution is that the earth has to be cleansed of Satan and his people and belongings, etc. And for those of you that may have listened carefully to one of my songs called Awake Sleepy Soul Awake, or Awake Sleepy Souls Awake, you may have heard me say that the Hopi Indians and I awaits the great day of Earth's purification. And just for your information, in order for the cleansing and purification of this, our Mother Earth, there got to be total destruction. Please note, not partial destruction, but total destruction. meaning all of us humans and humankind alike will be wiped off the planet. It's like formatting a corrupted computer hard drive. And just to further emphasize this point, let me borrow a quote from one of Bob Marley's songs. Total destruction is the only solution. Unquote. And just for your information, there are no man-made bunkers that can or that will save Satan and his devils from the total destruction that is to come, or that is coming. But I, the Mystic Philosopher, will have much more to say on this at another time. Number 2, Mystic. How do we do that? That's another question. How do we get rid of Satan the devil? Meaning, how do we get rid of Satan and his host of devils? And the answer is that I must regretfully inform you that by ourselves, we humans cannot do it. Meaning, by ourselves, getting rid of Satan the devil from off this our planet is impossible. But that is also another talk for another time. So in conclusion, all that is happening in our lives and round and about us right now, and the state of fear, panic, depression, desperation, uncertainty, and confusion, you name them, that are confronting us are of Satan, the devil, his elects, and his agents of force and forces. So as it relates to the God, Satan, and his world government, he and his devils are just tightening the screws on us and are hastening their activity on the order, because they realize that people, especially the young among us, are waking up from the trance that we have been in far much faster than they have expected. They, the devils, have expected. And above all, it is because they know and realize that their time is short. In other words, their time is running out. They will be cleansed from off this earth. So hopefully you now know who run things here on earth, and that the world order, aka the satanic world order, is not at all new. Ashe, 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 I say, I am the Mystic Philosopher. Thanks for listening.